And Stuart Coombs here this morning. Very good morning, Stuart. First, I'll introduce you. Hello.
Well, yeah, good morning. It's a good day. It's a bit of a wet one, though. I'm still drying out here in the studios from my little walk down the hill this morning. But yeah, this isn't usually gamers' waking hours at the moment. This is video gamers. What is that bright thing in the sky that's hidden by clouds? What's going on?
This is actually bedtime for you, isn't it?
Oh, very much so, yeah.
And to our guest, DC Gareth Jordan, thank you so much for joining us this morning. How are you this morning?
Well, thanks for inviting me. Very good, thank you. Yep, really good. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Really good. And we can see on the caption on the screen here, are you cyber secure? Gareth, do you mind just providing a bit of context as to who you are and what your role is?
Yep, certainly. I'm a detective constable with Dyfed-Powys Police. I'm based within the economic crime team at Dyfed-Powys Police headquarters in Carmarthenshire. And my role is to look towards the safeguarding of everybody within Dyfed-Powys to give them as much information as possible of how to keep themselves cyber safe. So I deal with just about every type of crime that comes in that is cyber related.
And I'm just thinking, cyber related crime, it's relatively new, isn't it? if we think back in the context of crime and punishment and things like that, cybercrime wasn't even a thing like 50 years ago, probably.
No, I think that, certainly when you start looking back, the Computer Misuse Act only came out sort of like in the 1990s. So for me being quite aged, it's certainly sort of one of those things that sort of has been going on for quite a while now when you look back on it. But I think that now the internet's moved on so quickly that we've now got to the stage where we're on social media, we're using emails, the banks have all gone online. In fact, everything we do now is online. So therefore the criminals have just moved to wherever the money is.
Yeah. And Stuart, this topic is actually massive. We're barely going to scratch the surface here today. I know that we're going to be talking about an overview as to how people can stay safe, but the actual topic itself is gargantuan.
Oh yeah, I mean, even if you think about in the last 5 years, the level of how cybercrime is done in different formats, whether it's from what started with the old spam emails you used to get, nowadays you get things from text, you get people sending you fake links through multiple sources of social media platforms that can take all kinds of details. It's just been logarithmic in going up and up and up. Then with the pandemic mixing into this as well, more people are now using stuff more online as a result of that, because we've connected more things to be able to do our work, do our bank payments, all that stuff. There is more of a risk there if you don't make sure you have specific things set up to make sure you do stay cyber safe. Yeah. And the best thing is there are quite a few good ways of doing that, which we can discuss on the show today.
And yeah, I was just about to ask Gareth the exact same thing. What is the increasing trend at the moment, Gareth, that you're seeing?
I think what we're seeing at the moment, an awful lot of social media accounts being hacked, that people, influencers especially, that they're getting their accounts taken over. And from that, they then talk to all of their influenced people. So you've now got a criminal in charge of an influencer's account. Everyone just believes it's still the influencer and they go along with whatever they say. So if they send them a link, they say, here's a good link to something. They think, oh, that'd be good. I'll be interested in that. They go onto it and they're now going down the first route of being scammed. That's one of the main things we're seeing. And we're also seeing quite a lot of scams where we're getting messages coming through where people are now getting very savvy about these text messages from supposedly Royal Mail or DPD. And people know that they're a scam now. It's great. That's a real good step. However, the criminals are just one step again, gone further, and you'll get that scam message, you'll delete it, and maybe a day or two later, you'll get a call supposedly from your bank. And you then get a call saying, did you get a text message that was saying that, you had a Royal Mail delivery, it was a scam. Oh, I know it's a scam. Unfortunately, we've now noticed unusual behavior on your bank account, and we need to make sure your account is safe. And they gradually, they manipulate people through social engineering. One, by believing that they are the bank. Two, by scaring them, because now actually, yes, something's happened. Now the bank has called. And three, their money is now unsafe. And the criminals look to try and move that money from the bank account of that poor victim through to a criminal's account.
And it's a real mix there of real primitive just taking over someone's account. And it's a very sophisticated methodology as to, right, here's phase one of the scam and here's step two of the scam as well. And it really is just a brazen attitude. Stuart, what's your experience of passwords? Because I know that you're part of forums online and different bits and pieces. What are you seeing of people trying to protect themselves?
Well, one of the big ones that happens with terms of online, it can be a little bit different from what you get with the whole the text scams and the phone call scams, is you get stuff where a friend sends a message to you, and this is where familiarity breeds contempt. You're used to having messages from your friends thinking, oh, right, okay, my friend has sent me this, and click that. I very nearly fell for this a couple of days ago, where a friend of mine got hacked due to an associate of them is known for clicking bad links. And it led to her Facebook account being hacked, which then led to a message coming to me. And typically, the way the message is sent is quite normal. It's one that I usually do tend to see quite often. Thinking, okay, I'll click that. It was only when my brain caught up my fingers about 3 seconds later, hang on, this isn't right. Close the message and then proceed to send a message to say, hey, what's going on? Because one of the biggest ones that tends to happen with this is getting verification, knowing is this genuine or not. I mean, not sure with yourself, Gareth, where you get it, where if you have these telephone calls from people claiming to be the bank, claiming to be any kind of group that involves your finances, if you have an app that tends to tell you what's going on, PayPal's a classic one. I've had so many emails claiming my PayPal account's been frozen or money's gone through. I tend to just hop onto my PayPal app on the phone, and that tells me, okay, let's have a look. Right, nothing's gone through. Or look at my bank app, says nothing says I'm frozen, so I know it's very fake. But often with these ones, not sure if this is something you've found with your experience, Gareth, with a lot of the calls coming through. They tend to catch you at a time where you're either tired, say first thing in the morning, or you tend to just want to panic and get things done very quickly because you're pressed for time at certain times of the day.
I think that's spot on, Stuart. The whole point that we see is that it's at just at the right time or the wrong time is when these hit. And what we're finding is I don't think people realise that millions of these are sent out. So therefore it's what's called a spray and pray attack. So they only have to be lucky 1 or 2 times out of those millions of texts and emails they send out for one person to be caught out. And like you say, you're rushing to get the kids ready for school. You're rushing to get to work. You're rushing to do this, or you've just come in, the phone rings, you suddenly get a message saying, oh, this is your bank here. You've been compromised. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it. You might have had the worst day in the world. And then all of a sudden you now get this. Your head is not in the right place. And that's how these things work. If you look at it logically, like you say, if we take time, stop and look at these things, you would not think as many people would get scammed as the way in which they do. And that's the whole point. People are not stupid. And I think a lot of people look at it and say, how on earth could people fall for that? And yet people do fall for it. And we know that actually a lot of the people that fall for these things, if you took them out of that situation again and put them back into it, if in a gaming term, in a God view of it, then they would look at it and go, how on earth did I fall for that? But at the time, it meant sense. It made sense. It was relevant. It was something that really touched them. And they thought, hang on, that is correct. That I have just spent that. I have just had a transaction. I was expecting a parcel. And that's how they work.
Yeah, I suppose that we've all become so familiar with having our phones with us all the time. They are our most trusted possession. They tell us what's going on, where and when in the world. They keep us in contact with our friends and family. So when we do get a message through it, our instinct is to trust what comes on first and foremost. There's no reason to doubt it until 3 seconds later, as in Stuart's case, we think, hang on, this isn't right. So what is that one thing that people can do to look after themselves and make sure that they're cyber secure? What is it they can do today to start helping themselves?
I quite like the Take 5 attitude. There's a campaign called Take 5, because I think we get inundated with advice of what we should do. And my look on it is Take 5. That is, take 5 seconds, take 5 minutes, stop. So stop, have a think, look at it, and be realistic. That call from the bank, do you really have to talk to that person at the other end of the phone? And I'm not being rude, but do you really need to talk to them? Do you need, why on earth would a bank phone you up? And could they do anything for you that couldn't be achieved by you stopping, putting the phone down, checking, and then phoning them back on a proper number, a trusted number, rather than potentially getting scammed? So stop, challenge what's happening, challenge what you've just got. As Stuart said, start to look at that text message, and that once you started reading it, hang on, this isn't the way in which this should be written. This isn't from my friend. This isn't the sort of thing I should be getting. So you're challenging it, and then protect. You're actually protecting yourself by stopping and challenging those things and telling other people about what you've heard today, about making sure that you don't just straight away react to whatever you hear. And it might be completely counterintuitive to people. We're always telling people to be polite. We're always telling people to mind your manners. And you've now got a police officer saying, do you know what? Don't trust that call. Don't trust that person on the other end of the phone, because let's face it, you've got more chance of being scammed by someone on the phone than you have if you just put that phone down, yes, possibly rude, but putting that phone down, waiting a couple of minutes, and then phoning the number on the back of your bank card or a trusted number, or as Stuart says, looking on your app. Your apps are the safest things in the world. They do not get compromised in the same way as we do as humans by hearing things on the phone. So think about it, put your phone down, give it a rest, have a cup of tea, and then start to think about what has happened and how you can actually manage that. Don't just go on a knee-jerk reaction saying, oh, I must do that. I must pay that Royal Mail delivery. I must talk to this person because they're from the bank. Scammers are very good. They'll do these sorts of things and they'll phone you back again and say, I was just on the phone to you. I'm now going to get a warrant out for your arrest. No, they won't. You can't do that. The bank will never ask you to transfer money over the phone. The bank will never ask you for your passcodes or other details like that. And if they do, put the phone down, phone the number up on the back of your bank card, and then get through to the proper representatives of the bank and talk to them about it.
Yeah, because as you said earlier, the scammers, they don't care whether they get found out or not, as long as you never identified. They're just going to keep trying and keep trying and keep trying. So for the sake of that 5 minutes, you really are doing yourself a big favor. And you mentioned earlier about influencer accounts being taken over through passwords, and that was always the big thing. Is like, make sure you got a different password for everything.
Yes, but that is massive. It's one of the big. So you could have the best password in the world, but if you use it on multiple accounts, you've essentially given a master key to every account that you have. So you always make sure you have that. The other thing to do with this is what's called two-factor authentication. So basically, for those wondering, what on earth is that? Basically, with a password, if someone does log in with your password, say that gets compromised, if you set up two-factor authentication, you can have an app on your phone, or you get a text message or an email that gives you a specific one-time code you have to put in to allow you to log into your accounts. I've had this with Facebook a number of times where people have actually compromised my password. I then get a text from Facebook saying, this is your one-time password. I realize, okay, something's gone wrong. This password is now defunct. I can never use this one again. I need to update it because it's been clearly compromised. But one thing, just diving back onto the phone things, one trick I tend to do that helps with this as well. I'm not sure if Gareth heard this before, where there's two particular websites I use when I have a scam call. It's whocalledme.co.uk or who am I. If I get a call on my phone, I proceed to Google the telephone number and see what pops up. Because typically on Google, the first thing that pops up is if it's a well-known scam number, it tells me who called me.co.uk. Click on that. Let's verify the number. Yep, it says harassment, scam call, scam call, scam call. I know immediately I either don't answer if I haven't done so, or if I have picked up the phone, I just put it straight down, which we had in work actually 2 weeks ago. Someone claims to be from EDF Energy, claiming to want our smart meter stuff and wants to pay money to get a smart meter installed. I happen to look at the number thinking, this doesn't make sense. This also is not a usual number you get for this kind of company. Proceed to Google it, bring it up, and then proceed to talk like Elmo over the phone and put the phone down with them.
I like that. And Gareth, when we were emailing back and forth to arrange this, you said that the topic is massive. What other themes should people be aware of? Just a very, very, very broad stroke, because I think that we're going to have to get you back on and talk about this going forward.
But I just want to say, yeah, Stuart, nailed it on the head there. Passwords really massively. If you can get your passwords under control, your two-factor authentication, you massively reduce the risk of being compromised. Don't have the same password for each account. Don't, and how do you actually manage that? Okay, you need to sort that sort of thing out yourselves, whether it be a little black book, whether it be a password manager, however you do it. But you've got to think about it. If one password is compromised, then a lot of your life is compromised, because they'll just try on all the rest of your accounts. That's called credential stuffing. So yeah, we could talk about credential stuffing. We could talk about gift card fraud. That's massive out there as well. So we're getting, certainly this is for vulnerable and the elderly. They'll get a call talking about the fact that it's HMRC, or that they owe money because they haven't paid all the national insurance and they need to go and pay it. So therefore they tell them to go and buy gift cards. And we've had this where several thousands of pounds over a number of months has been withdrawn by the use of gift cards, because these people think that they owe money to the government, and they're not aware that you don't buy Amazon cards or iTunes cards or Steam vouchers for paying off your inland revenue. So wow. The criminals they're varied, and they'll even get to a stage. I think Stuart touched on it before. They ring up a mess. They pretend to be people in authority. So therefore, they'll phone up and say, "We're the bank, we're the police, we're the doctor, we're the gas company. We're going to cut you off." All these sorts of things. they always look to have that air of authority. And certainly, as we're brought up as decent human beings, we trust those companies, we trust those authorities. So therefore, it seems rude. And it's a bit like if you did get a call from the police, what do you do now? Do you actually just put the phone down and say, I don't believe you? And that's what goes through people's minds. But actually, you challenge it. You go back to the original thing I said before, you challenge it. And you say, okay, if that is the case, I will phone you back on a number that I know. But yet we go into loads of different things as well. Sextortion is out there, certainly with the thing where we got Instagram accounts being hacked and then people befriending others on it. They then get them to do something on webcam, which is quite embarrassing. And they then have videoed that. Because they've now got all their friends and they can message them, they then say they're going to sell this video on the internet, if you like, by putting it out there, or they can pay a ransom so that they won't put that video out there. So that's another area. We've got romance fraud. We have all the other different types of frauds going that are out there. And like you say, that we haven't got enough time today.
Yeah, there's not enough time. We're going to have you come back, Gareth. So expect an email from me later on today to see when we can get back and get Stuart back on as well.
And make sure you take five to make sure it's definitely from us.
Yeah, of course.
Do check email addresses always. That's the other thing. Always check
yeah.
who the email's from.
Because they're very sneaky, usually with some where they, like an L is actually a capital I in emails address. This has happened a lot of times with fake accounts on Twitter and with text messages where you think, oh, it looks genuine, but then you look at like we had with our Pure West radio page earlier this week.
Yeah.
They did it where it was Pure West, which we don't use. And they done it with another version of an A, which isn't one we use in the English alphabet. So if you glance at it, you're thinking, oh, great, yeah, it's fine. Turns out, no, it's not. So always double check that name because you might find it's wrong.
Yeah, take 5 is the key method. Thank you so much, Gareth, for joining us this morning.
Thank
Stuart, if people want to hear more from you, where can they find you?
Oh, you can tune in every Sunday from 1 till 4 on the Sunday Gaming Show. If you like your video games or find out what's going on in the world of gaming, just tune in to listen in and level up.
In association with Mags Optics and Haverfordwest. Thank you so much, Stuart, for your time here today. And thank you, DC Gareth Jordan. I have no doubt that we'll be speaking again very soon. Have a great day.
Take care. Bye then. Bye.
Thanks very much.
Coming up next, we've got Rita Ora and Anywhere.
This is Pure West Radio for Pembrokeshire from